Hello, Matt Farnham here, leader of Team Farnham Real Estate. At Crown Point Realty, I hope you guys have had a great summer. This is a housing market update here at the end of August. I know it's been a crazy summer. Hope in the middle of the pandemic, you found joy in this past summer. Hope it's not been too crazy this last week or two getting kids back to school. A little bit nutty in our house, I know, as we get adjusted to the virtual classroom. Can't wait to get our kids back in school soon, but hope we can all make the most of this season while we're in it. Go Knights go. They're in the middle of the playoffs. We're in the second round against the Canucks. I just found out that as I filmed this, that the game tonight was postponed, unfortunately, but hopefully that picks up here soon. But go Knights go. And we're going to jump right to the content. There's a lot I want to cover with you. Some big announcements in the financing world related to refinancing we need to talk about. But first, let's kick off Las Vegas, Southern Nevada housing stats. So here we go. Home prices are up 1.5%. So this is the July data. So they went up 1.5% since June. The median house price is now at $330,000. So median house price $330,000. Market is on fire. In July, we saw sales go up 35% month over month. And you might say, yeah, but June was still, really, the pandemic season. People weren't as active. Okay, that's fair enough, but it's still up 5% year over year. So July 2020 had 5% more home sales than July 2019. So the market is on fire. New listings month over month went up 14%. So 14% growth in new listings hit the market. But yet, in spite of that, we have a 5% net decrease in available homes on the market that don't have offers on them. So that says that demand even outpaced the 14% growth in new listings. Demand was so strong that we still saw available homes drop 5% total for month over month. So there's a total effective inventory right now of 1.6 months of inventory for single family homes in Southern Nevada. That's insane, crazy low, 1.6 months of total effective inventory in Southern Nevada for single family, with 76% of homes selling in less than 60 days. So if you put your home on the market today, 76% of those new listings will be under contract in less than 60 days. 86% of new listings will go pending in less than 90 days. So market's on fire, partly attributed to crazy low interest rates. So let's talk about financing. Spoke with Scott Reynolds at Evergreen Home Loans today. I do a lot of work with Scott. You guys know that. He said that most people are still locking rates at 3% or below right now. So historic low interest rates, absolutely incredible opportunity for home buyers or looking to refinance your mortgage. But let's talk about the refinance fee that the FHFA just announced this week. It's quite controversial, definitely shook the mortgage industry. You may have already heard about this, but there's already some updates to what happened. So let me give you kind of an introduction to what happened. So last week, literally in the middle of the night, they made this decision and rolled out the next morning that if you have a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac loan and you want to refinance it, fine, you can refinance it at the same rates that are out there right now, but it's going to cost you an extra 50 basis points to refinance, which also could be said 0.5%. So in English, what that is if you have a $300,000 loan amount that you're refinancing, it would literally cost you $1,500 more cost in closing cost to refinance that amount. $400,000, then you're $2,000 more hard costs just in closing fees to refinance that mortgage. Same interest rate. These are actual cash out of pocket, costs to do it. So crazy change. And here's the controversial part. And I'm going to include a lot of links in this housing market update for you down below. Just a lot of good content to share with you. 2 of them are videos specifically on this topic, and then an article as well. But there's a group called the Resource TV. His name's Ryan, who leads the show, does an incredible job explaining changes and updates in the mortgage industry. But he speaks to this in one of the videos. He's interviewing Barry Habib, I think is his name, a mortgage expert that's talking about the most current updates that have just come out. So please watch those. They do a better job explaining it than I do. But what is happening is Fannie and Freddie, the FHFA, is calling this a adverse market fee. And the debate is, what adverse market? The market is on fire. There's equity in homes. Interest rates are low. Sales are up. It's a super strong real estate market. But because of the pandemic, Fannie and Freddie are saying that they're anticipating $6 billion in expenses that they're going to realize. And here's how they're saying that that's going to look like for them. There's $4 billion in loan losses due to projected forbearance results, $1 billion in foreclosure moratorium losses, and $1 billion in servicer compensation or other forbearance expenses. The controversial aspect of this, though, is that last quarter they had a profit of about $5 billion. So the market's on fire right now, and Fannie and Freddie do about 70% of the financing that's happening for the new loans taking place out there. So they seem to be doing just fine, and that's what's so debatable about them, this adverse market fee, which the mortgage industry is calling a refi tax, essentially, is what it feels like. So anyways, watch those videos. They do a great job explaining it. But here's what you need to know about that. And by the way, one of the videos that I'm going to put out is a YouTube. The other is a Facebook link because it's so fresh. They haven't even uploaded it to YouTube yet. So by the time you watch this, I'll put some content below. You might be able to just go to YouTube and search Fired Up Barry Talks Refi Tax Rollback. And I'll write all that below because they'll probably have it on YouTube by the time you watch this from me. So check those out. And then also a Housing Wire article I'm going to put in there that talks about, more just written out on exactly what this extension looks like. But here's what's so critical to understand is that they originally rolled this out for September 1st. Now they have pushed it back to December 1st. So that sounds great, but let me translate what that actually means. Also, side note, for mortgages at $125,000 or less are exempt of that additional 50 basis point cost, okay? That was part of the pushback from the mortgage industry, was that it was going to affect lower income households. With this fee would be affected, more than anybody. So they have at least made that exemption. But still, it's a big change in the market. So here's what this means. I called Scott Reynolds at Evergreen, talked to him about true timelines, because it's not like you need to initiate your refinance by December 1st, or even lock your interest rate by December 1st, or even close your refinance. What happens is when you initiate your loan, you lock your rate, they go through the process, you close your refinance, the mortgage lender still has to package that loan and then sell it secondarily, and then that's when it gets to Fannie and Freddie. This all takes time. So in reality, the kind of the drop dead date is in mid-September, which means you got about 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks. If you want to refinance your mortgage and save that extra 0.5% in costs, do it now. Reach out to us. We'll introduce you to Scott and his team, or if you know a mortgage lender that you already know and trust, then reach out to them and get this information. But save yourself $1,000, $2,000, $4,000, $5,000 in closing costs, depending on your loan amount. If you're thinking of refinancing with these incredibly low interest rates, do it now, in the next 2 weeks. At least have the conversation, explore your options, and then maybe you talk to us about what it looks like to sell your home, and you can decide which one's better for your family. But just wanted to make a big deal about this so you don't miss the boat and end up spending another $1,500, $3,000, whatever it is, just a week or two later because you look into refinancing. All right, so let's move on from that. The national market, a lot happening, obviously, in the middle of a pandemic. The market's on fire. Let's just talk about that real quick, and then how this relates to Nevada. So the home prices up nationally are up 8% year over year. So really strong market. Vegas is up 8.9% year over year, so a little bit stronger than national average. Existing home sales continue at a record pace nationally. They're up 25% in July over June. Here locally, 35% since June. We talked about that. There is an article I will share from the National Association of Realtors that is quoting the chief economist for NAR, the National Association of Realtors. And essentially what he's saying in summary is, the market is actually booming at higher now than pre-pandemic levels. And with the sizable shift in remote work, a lot of people are working at home now. They're looking for bigger homes, and that's a big adjustment we're seeing in the market. And he sees that leading all the way into a higher level of demand into 2021 as families are needing to adjust their lifestyle to working from home more. And a lot of companies are now announcing that'll be a permanent change for them. We have a lot of clients that work in the tech field or development field, and they've already been told that they can work remote indefinitely, that's just kind of how they're going to be changing the model of the company. So I'll put that article in there for you, as well as one that's also from Housing Wire. It's a gentleman. It's called Logan's blog or something like that, but you'll see the link. But it's a great article relating to, are we showing signs of a housing bubble? And he has some great information squashing the idea that we are in a housing bubble with some good reasons behind it. So let's talk about forbearance. Okay, so for the last couple months, we've talked a lot about forbearance. So let me mention the updated numbers for both national and local. So nationally, originally, economists and people were forecasting, fearful that we would see up to 30% of the mortgages in the country end up in forbearance. So the fear was 30%. The peak that we saw was 8.6%. 8.6%, and that's still a lot. That's a ton, don't get me wrong. But 8% of mortgages went into forbearance. We've now seen a 12-week consistent decline in the amount of mortgages that are in forbearance nationally. I say 12 weeks. Truth be told, there was one tiny little week in the middle of the 12 that slightly ticked up, and then it came back down again for the next 6 or 7. So that's good news nationally. But what does this mean locally? What does it look like for us here in Nevada? So it's no secret that we have a very large leisure, hospitality, service, convention, travel related aspects of our employment here. So, all the best to you and your family and friends that have been affected by this. I know many people in my circle have been, but here's what this means right now. Yesterday, I listened to Jeremy Aguero. Hope I didn't say his last name wrong, but he is the with Applied Analysis. He's probably the most respected and sought after voice on the economy here in Las Vegas specifically. Analyzes the economy consistently. He is absolutely incredible to listen to. So yesterday, he shared about an hour's worth of content with the realtor population, and I wrote down a lot of notes. But some I want to share with you that was quite eye-opening is that during the Great Recession here in Las Vegas, so this was, about 12 years ago now, 2008, 2010 season. Obviously, it hit our market here in Vegas really hard. But in 2.5 years in Vegas, we saw 196,000 jobs lost. So almost 200,000 jobs were lost over a 2.5-year period. In just 2 months of the COVID-19 pandemic in Las Vegas, we saw 280,000 jobs lost. So we saw 84,000 more jobs lost in 2 months than we saw in the 2.5 years of the Great Recession. So our unemployment, as you know, is up to as high as 31% here in Las Vegas. Good news is it's down to 14% now, which is half, obviously way better than 31. But reality, it's still very, very high, the highest numbers Vegas has ever seen for unemployment. So it's 14% right now. And of course, you know why, because of the types of jobs we have in a world right now that is socially distant. A lot of hotels aren't open. People aren't traveling by airplane right now. They're driving in. Vegas last year had a 3.2 to 1 ratio. So call it 3.5 to 1 ratio of tourists that came in by airplane versus vehicle. Right now, year to date in 2020 is actually 0.8 to 1. So more people are coming in by car than by airplane right now to Las Vegas. So that obviously speaks to the problem that we're seeing with jobs and industry here locally because of how we're set up in Vegas. So as far as the forbearance, we talked about, as high as 7%, 8% nationally in forbearance. They Applied Analysis, his group did a survey. And here's what they found out, that last month from the big group that they surveyed, 18% of households did not make their rental payment last month. 18% did not make their rental payment last month. And an alarming 41% of people said that they're not going to be able to make their next rent payment. So 18% didn't pay rent last month. 41% said they won't be able to do it this month. The mortgage people that actually own their home with a mortgage, 22% of people here in Las Vegas, in the Las Vegas Valley, did not make their mortgage payment last month. That's a very large number. That's 1/5, almost 1/4 of our population that has a home with a mortgage were unable to make their mortgage payment last month, which means 78% of people did, which is good, but 22% is obviously quite concerning. So there's. Let me just bring it kind of the summary of what he said is that in summary, we need a vaccine, right? So the stimulus the government's done has, Nevada has already used $19 billion of the CARES Act stimulus. which is necessary, and it's definitely helped us weather the storm here economically. But we need a vaccine because we need these jobs, people traveling again. We need people back to work here in Vegas. The thing that's helping offset so much of this and why the market's still so hot here right now is you've heard me talk about this California exodus, and it's real. I mean, people are coming out of California in droves, whether it's because of the government there, the taxes there, the natural disasters, earthquakes and fires. I mean, people, for whatever reason, are wanting out of California and they're coming to Vegas. Maybe they're following the Raiders here. That's probably a small part of it too sometimes. No state income tax. There's a lot of advantages. Cost of living here is probably about 30% less than Los Angeles and almost 50% less than maybe San Francisco. It's crazy. So that's a huge demand that's keeping our market super hot, and the low interest rates and the other dense populations too. New York, Chicago, these types of cities where people are on top of each other. They want some elbow room. They want a better quality of life. So they're heading out west to, our market, or Phoenix, or maybe Texas, but markets like that. So a lot of good things happening for a real estate market here, but we definitely want people back to work. We need those jobs opening back up. So we need to just pray for that vaccine soon. Hopefully by the end of the year. I'm definitely not a scientist or have any voice on that matter. So don't email me about any comments I made related to COVID-19. I'm not an expert. I just talk about the housing market. But anyways, that's a lot of information. A lot going on. The market's strong right now, low interest rates. If there's anything we can do for you, we would love to hear from you. We love hearing from you. I hope everybody in your world is happy and healthy and safe in the middle of this crazy year. Go Knights go. That's probably the most exciting thing I could talk about right now. I hope we can get all the way back to the Stanley Cup Finals and take it home this time. But we truly wish all of you the best. Our phone's ringing off the hook with your referrals. We're so grateful to help all of your friends and family. It's an honor to guide them through whatever it is they're, buying, selling, whatever it is they're doing. So love you all. Thanks for your time. Sorry for the long video. Refinance, make the phone call in the next 2 weeks if you want to do it. Save yourself some money. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks. See ya.